I like doing things that's memorable. I'm not a normal guy, so I do normal things. Shaq. He's the greatest of the universe.
Shaq, that's a very nice hat.
Your mother gave it to me. So in light of today, I'm retiring all my nicknames.
It is I, Superman, the son of Jor-El.
I would like to be known as the Big Aristotle. Shaq Fu, the Big Shamrock, the Big Cactus, the Diesel. I wanted to be somebody different, sort of like a freak of nature type difference. I always wanted to be a leader, and I always wanted to do it my way. And I'm comfortable here today saying I did it my way.
We got to get him out of his shell. Welcome back. Earlier in the show, we played part 1 of our interview with Shaquille O'Neal. Here is part 2.
Let me go back to what you said from a basketball perspective. You brought up Phil Jackson. I was not going to bring him up. I really, really wasn't. But since you mentioned the Zen Master, the great one, the 11-time champion, as a coach, being in New York as an executive obviously is a different experience for us New York Knicks fans. What the hell is going on in New York in your estimation, and how much accountability do you give to your former championship coach?
I give no accountability to him. It's the players' jobs to step up. Let me finish. Everybody always says, you know, the triangle doesn't work, You got Carmelo, you got Porzingis, and you got Derrick Rose. No, they're not Shaq and Kobe and Mike and Scotty, but they're close. They're similar. I've been saying this all year. The triangle does work because what it does, it moves the ball, it gets players involved, it gets everybody involved. You got 1 or 2 guys dribbling the air out the ball, it's never going to work. So, you know, I was the type, Steven, that when I was playing, forget upstairs, forget the coaches, I'm going to handle it myself. So at some point, Porzingis or Carmelo, whoever team it is, they're going to have to say, you know what, we need to bring New York Knicks back to prominence. Has nothing to do with Hornacek, has nothing to do with Phil Jackson. The players got to step up. And they got some big-time players over there. Carmelo Anthony, Kristaps Porzingis, and Derrick Rose. That's your big 3 right there. Everybody else got to step up.
I want to ask you about Porzingis, Shaq, as a big, as a unicorn, as the kind of big that people haven't seen yet. To me, it looks like if things work out, he has the potential to be the kind of player that only certain guys have ever been, in the sense that GMs every year in the East are going to have to sit down in the offseason and go, what are we going to do about that guy? It's a matchup nightmare. He could be kind of the balance of power in the Eastern Conference. Am I overrating his potential? Does he have that kind of potential?
I think he does have that kind of potential. To me, he looks like a longer Dirk Nowitzki. You know, not very physical, but he can blow by you, can throw it down, can shoot the long ball. I really like his game. But if I was playing, you know, that would be Polish chicken. Polish barbecue chicken down there, wherever he's from. But no, he's a good player. I like him.
Before I let you get on out of here, let's talk about your Lakers for a quick second. I mean, they've struggled as of late, even though they won recently. I want to know your thoughts about Luke Walton and the job that he's doing, and more importantly, how do you feel about the direction the organization is going in since they have elected to hire Luke Walton?
Well, first of all, the Lakers are not used to not having a big-time player. This is the second baddest roster. I don't want to say bad roster, but before I came to the Lakers in '96, it was when, like, after Magic left and, you know, the Lakers were just a regular team. Then I came in '96. They're back to being a regular team, and LA's not used to that. We're not used to that. So hopefully they can make some moves in free agency to get another big-time player. You know, they got a lot of young players. They started out the gate pretty good, had a couple of injuries, and now they're trying to start all over to try to learn how to win. But it's going to be a long season for them. It's going to be a long road for them. But, you know, hopefully they could you know, get back to prominence by signing a big-time super free agent. But until then, they're going to struggle for a while.
Shaq.
You know, Luke Walton is a young coach that speaks their language, but he needs a little bit more talent over there.
Shaq, I'm curious to know, for you to weigh in on this idea. I was watching, you know, the finals last year, and I saw LeBron do some things to Steph Curry, block a shot, scream on him. Steph really didn't have a response. And Steph had he was even less than his normal self. I know he was hurt, but he was also less than his normal self in the previous finals against the Cavs. And it seems to me that LeBron has gotten to the stage in his career where he has also kind of mastered the psychological game, taking the opponent's heart. Is that what he did to Steph? Where do you stand on that?
Well, LeBron is one of the most intelligent basketball players to ever play the game. I don't think he wastes times on trying to psych other guys out. But, you know, when you're in that arena and in that challenge of going to the finals and another man tests you, you have to puff your chest out and say, you know what, this is my game. And that's what LeBron was doing, especially down 3-1. And, you know, everybody was counting them out, including you guys. And you know,
they should have been counted out.
The TNT set. I know he should have been counted out, but he just stepped up and, you know, little trash talk there and here and there, and they came back and they won, and he did it for the land. And it's a great story, but I don't think he wastes time trying to figure out.
Well,
you know,
and what about Steph, Shaq? What about Steph in that scenario?
Well, you know, Steph is really known for making the long ball shot, a lot of crazy shots. And, you know, us big guys always say you live by the jumper, you die by the jumper. And those last couple games, you know, his shot wasn't falling. So, I mean, but I don't think it has to do anything with, you know, LeBron's psyche or his defense. You know, when you shoot from that distance, if it's not falling, you know, it could affect your team in many ways.
Well,
last couple games, he wasn't hitting those miraculous shots like he usually hits.
Well, in the interest of full disclosure, for those that don't know, you get on my nerves from time to time, believe it or not. And you know, when Kevin Durant decided to Golden State, that was another one, because you didn't appear nearly as ticked off as I was that a dude of that magnitude, one of the top 2 players in the world, would decide to leave and go to a 73-9 team that had just bounced him out of the playoffs a month earlier.
You know what? I was a little upset, but everybody was already jumping on him. I didn't need to jump in the fight. You already had the man down with the handcuffs on him. You want me to come in and jump on him? Let him go.
And how you feeling about it now?
Max said something. Barkley said something. I mean, you know, he's playing well, but, you know, I'm sure it's still a lot of peers that don't respect his move. But you got to do what's best for you and, you know, what's best for your family.
Do you? Shaq, before we let you go, can you please remind Stephen A. and Max who runs the show?
Oh, you do, Molly.
Thank you. Thank
you.
you.
Know how
Just
I know
needed
you run the
just
show,
needed that
every time I
validation.
talk to you. See, Molly? See what you do to me, Molly?
Will you stop it? Will you stop it? And by the way, you didn't have
See,
to.
he always got to jump in.
By the way,
you
didn't have to call me out during your Hall of Fame speech like that. That wasn't very nice of you, you know. You didn't have to do that.
I know. I'm sorry.
No, you're not.
I'm sorry, Steve.
Right.
No, you're not.
I love you.
Shaq, we'll see you on TV. We appreciate you. Come back soon.
All right, thank you. See you later, Stephen A. and Max.
All right, big boy.
All right, Shaq, thanks for coming on.
Good times. If you missed any of the interview with Shaq, you can go to our Facebook page for both parts of the interview. Coming up, Richard Sherman holding his own media blackout, and someone at the desk is done with his antics. Stick around to find out.
Hey, this is Shaquille O'Neal, the one who taught Stephen A. Smith everything he knows, and you're watching First Take. Hi, Molly.
Stephen A's friend Timmy Tebow, Cedric the Entertainer, Charlie Strong, Les Miles, and a few more will be joining us. Plus, we'll have giveaways for you. The show starts at 10 a.m. Eastern. Doors open at 8:30 a.m. It's free, first come, first serve, so we hope to see you down there in Tampa.
My last years at Florida State, 65 or 70% of my boys did not have a daddy at home. They're raised by mamas, them sweet old mamas, you know. Thank God for them mamas. Or grandmama. Many times it was grandmama, you know, or big sister or aunt. But where's the man? A boy needs a male figure. And the girls do too, you know, somebody to discipline them and make them be a man. You know, I used to kid about this. You know, they grow up and want to be like their mama. They want to be a man like their mama, but that's the way they were raised. Right. That's why they wear earrings.
It feels when somebody comes across this in the way that Bobby Bowden does, it's just kind of broad slander of black men, as if there are no black men worth a damn anywhere to be found that can help guide these dudes when they're young. And there are black men out here working their behinds off all over the place doing that before they ever get to Bobby damn Bowden.
Okay, so there's that. That was former college football coach Bobby Bowden speaking on Mike and Mike yesterday, and our Bomani Jones reacting. Max, I want to start with you here. What do you make of Bowden's comments?
I think he was talking from his own experiences, and he's not, you know, Bomani is educated obviously in a different way.
Yep.
And I can imagine an African-American person feeling a certain kind of way about an old white guy talking about, as Bomani brought up, black families. And on the other hand, I feel as though, and these are coaches, these are not doctors, they don't have PhDs in these kind of subjects that would allow them to speak in an educated way or even in a way that you think when you hear it, you go, oh yeah, that's true, that sounds true. And yet I feel as though when there is, and by the way, if you say something publicly, it's fair game for criticism.
Of course.
And here Bomani is fairly criticizing what he heard. And yet there is a part of me that thinks, for example, the point about earrings. Bobby Bowden brought up, he saw a lot of players wearing earrings, and he related that somehow to the fact that there weren't fathers home, so they were imitating their mothers. Now, I doubt that's true, and it doesn't sound very smart, but I'd never considered that. It was a thought that I hadn't considered, and when I considered it, I pretty quickly dismissed it. And I'm sure there's scholarship on men wearing earrings in this country, and maybe it's related. I don't know. Once Bobby Bowden said that, that's interesting. I wonder if it's related not just along racial lines, but to divorce rates starting in the 1970s. Whatever. The point, I'm sure there's scholarship on it, and you're not going to get that from Bobby Bowden. But when there is immediate criticism of someone expressing an idea that's maybe not that well thought out in a way that paints them maybe as a bad person, it dissuades others from a kind of public discourse of ideas, and I don't know that we're the richer for it. Of course, Bomani was, I believe, right in what he said, but I also wouldn't want to think that there's an atmosphere where people don't feel safe, not from criticism, but maybe even comfortable, simply making an observation publicly.
I had no problem with what Bobby Bowden said, and I actually disagree with Bomani Jones, and I say that respectfully. Now, to put this on Front Street, Bomani Jones is not just smart. This is a brilliant brother who ESPN should be very, very proud to have as a radio host. I love me some Bomani
So is
Jones.
the right time.
That's right, the right time. I mean, this radio show is the joint. There's no question about it. Got a lot of love for him, and I will be leading, into his show because I'm going to be on ESPN Radio in New York and LA, and of course on the Sirius XM channel, 80 channel, starting January 16th. Thank you so much.
What time can we find that?
1 to 3 p.m. Eastern time every weekday. Here's the deal. I respectfully disagree with Bomani Jones because of the tenor of his arguments, not the words he was saying, the tenor of it. I did not hear Bobby Bowden say black.
Okay.
I did not hear Bobby Bowden say black boys. I heard him say who he coached. Okay? That means black and white players. I also heard him say, he says boy all the time. Now, I saw him yesterday. He said, it's great to see you, boy. First thing he said. Now, so for those out there, understand, black folks, we don't take kind of that. We don't like that too much. If it came from you or it came from somebody my age, this man 87 years old. This man been communicating like this all his life. Not to mention the fact that I'm listening to my radio show with Dave Rothenberg filling in for me. He called Dave boy. This is how he talks to younger folks, devoid of race. So what I'm saying is that you have to contextualize things at times. When I listen to Bobby Bowden, I don't listen to a man or talk to a man where I see an individual who's talking to somebody based on their ethnicity. That's how he communicates generationally. Now, he might not call a Nick Saban that, or he might not call somebody older that, but somebody that is younger, he may call that. Now, if you don't like it, you can correct him if you so choose to, or whatever the case may be, but I don't take it as him literally directing his comment at black men devoid of father figures. I didn't hear that come out of his mouth. And so because I didn't hear that, and I take into account his age, and I take into account the fact that I've heard him and literally seen him on occasions in the past talk to younger white men exactly the same way that he talked to younger black men, I did not embrace it and adopt it as if he were directing his comment at black people.
Let me weigh in here because I have a different take, and I'm not giving them a pass for being 87 years old, and let's take race out of it. So he's stating that 65% about of the players that he coached didn't have fathers, so that's a fact. staff. That's fine. I'm good with that. But I don't appreciate the joke. And maybe it has nothing to do with race. I don't appreciate the shot. It's reminiscent of George Karl for somebody not having a father. It's a blatant insult for somebody that comes from a single-parent home. I don't appreciate it. I don't think it's funny, and I don't think because you're 87 years old that makes it okay.
Well, what I would say to you is that I didn't take it that way.
He's saying you want to be like your mom and you're wearing earrings. Like, that's not okay. That's not funny.
It was. I don't think he was trying to be funny.
Well, he said I kind of make a joke about it.
Okay, I understand what you're saying, but I think maybe he's trying to couch it in such a way that he's able to make an observation to state a thought. Now, once you say it publicly, you can expect it, and it can be fairly criticized, as Bomani did. My point is, and I'm not saying that ignorant speech should always be defended, but at least that we are not living in a culture where there can be no exchange of ideas, even of wrong-headed ones. If the intention is benign.
Not just that, exactly. The intention is benign is the key point. But Molly, I respectfully disagree with you. I have to say this, and here's why. Because whether you don't like the remark or not, the operative word is benign. You cannot associate anything benign with what George Karl said and did. George Karl is writing a book, and I love to...
took a shot at people for not having fathers.
Wait a minute.
And this is essentially what this is.
But what I'm trying to say to you is this. Again, he was explaining something that was benign. If you don't like it, you don't like it. I can respect that. Just like I respect where Bomani Jones is coming from. But George Karl is writing a book. George Karl talked about absentee fathers and how they weren't around to teach these specific players how to be men, which he was saying Carmelo's not a man, Kenyon Martin's not a man, J.R. Smith is not a man, etc., etc. He was on attack. That is not what I got from Bobby Bowden listening to him yesterday. That's all I'm saying.
And one other thing that I want to add for what it's worth is I have a lot of family members that wear earrings. I'm not black. Some have fathers, some don't. All right, coming up at the end of the show, Stephen A. will have his final take.
I mean, you know.
It'll also be strong. Stephen A., what are you getting into today?
Let's just say the city of Chicago will appreciate where I'm coming from. And I'll leave it at that.
Chi-Town, stand up.
Chi-Town.
We're looking forward to it.
Here I come.
Coming up after the break, Shaquille explains why the Warriors came up short in last year's finals and the real reason why he loves a little first take.
Molly, you see what happens when I'm getting ready to do an interview with you?
Your folks might understand you by and by. Just move on.